at 6 p.m. At this time, I'd like to remind everybody to silence their phones, and please join us for the Pledge of Allegiance. Thank you. Item number 3 is public comment. I'd like to ask this time if anybody has any public comment, and if so, it is limited to 3 minutes per person. You would have public comment at this time, sir? If you can come up to the podium here, we'll have you take a seat. Either one, yes, please. As long as you talk loud enough so that we can hear you. We need to know your name, your address.
My name is Bruce Cunningham.
Bruce
I'm a
Cunningham.
native of Nevada, 78 years old. Born about 35 miles from here to the west, that horrible town called Reno. And we bought property out here, the family did, 1977, and we've owned property at 1240 Bench Road since then. It was a pretty ramshackle house for a long time. My wife, who's also a native of Nevada, and she's from Ely, and I bought my mother out, her interest in the property, and in 1993 we moved to the house and lived in it. It had pretty bad windows. It was just a pretty rough little house. I got a bit of inheritance, years ago, and we used that money to do a lot of repairs and a remodel on the house, which upgraded it quite a bit. We put in good, tight, double-pane windows in it and added 800 square feet at a considerable cost. And that was going to be our retirement home. Well, during this time, the services bought some property to the west and south of us, and they installed 2 mobile homes, one for the mother, one for Doug Service and his wife, Kelly. And I helped them when they moved out there. There was no easement, and I don't think there is an easement to that home or to those properties ever been granted. People just came down the ditch road and then went straight down along my property line on down and carved out a road. And I still, to this day, doubt whether there's any kind of an easement granted for that road. But anyway, things were fine. I helped Doug. I let him load up a water truck from my well and, helped him build his house that way. Well, lo and behold, over the years, young people moved in, young people moved out. The traffic on that road has gotten to be more than just residential traffic, little normal residential traffic. Sheldal, at the end of the road, has several non-conforming trailer sites with permanent residents on the trailers. Those people come roaring up and down the road. They don't care. It's not their property. They're renters. They're maybe transients, so what do they care? The dust is so bad now, the clouds of dust from that road, even when people don't drive it, that we can't even open our windows.
Mr. Cunningham, we have hit our 3-minute limit. We've heard your public comment that you would like to start with this evening. We may put you in touch with the compliance officer, but at this time I'll have to ask you to have a seat.
Okay.
Okay,
Well,
so I'll
anyway.
remind everybody public comment is limited to 3 minutes.
Oh, I'm sorry.
That's all right.
I have a habit of speaking too long. But there are a couple
That's
of points
okay.
I wanted to make, though.
That's okay, you'll get time to speak later, but at this time we got to
Okay,
move on.
May I speak again at this hearing, or am I done now?
We have no idea what you're even speaking on, sir, at this time. The meeting's just beginning.
Yeah, it's on.
But that's okay. If you can have a
it's on
seat, we'll get
SUP
started.
20. Pardon me?
You'll have time at that item.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, sir. Item number 4, verification of the posting of the agenda.
The agenda was posted according to statutes on, as stated on the agenda on the 4th of June.
Thank you, Diane. Item number 5, verification of the notification of all landowners in accordance with NRS and the Churchill County Consolidated Development Code.
All attempts to reach landowners was made.
Item number 6, consideration and possible action regarding approval of the minutes of the meeting held on May 13th, 2026, public hearing. Can I get a motion?
Madam Chair, Mark Hyde for the record. I move that we approve the minutes of the meeting held on May 13th, 2026.
Second.
We have a first by Commissioner Hyde, second by Commissioner Mills. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed? Will pass. Wow, 6-0 tonight. Thank you. 7, old business, consideration and possible action regarding review of a special use permit, SUP 1091, for a multi-tenant business complex previously granted to Rigberto Uribe and Maria Herrera of Desert Properties RUS on June 12, 2024. The property is located at 5070 Reno Highway, assessor's parcel number 008-531-90, in the C2 zoning district. This permit is subject to an annual review until the Planning Commission determines it is no longer necessary. I see that there's people to speak on behalf. Can you please state your name and your address for the record?
Maria Herrera, 5070 Reno Highway.
Jorge Cruz from Silver State Construction. 5070 Reno Highway.
Thank you. I'll turn it over to staff, please.
Thank you, Madam Chair and members of the board. Randy Hines, Public Works Planning and Building. Again, this is, I think last we heard this was in March. We're now, you guys granted a 3-month extension on that, and we're hearing it again today. I just kind of want to go over the items that are still outstanding on there. We've got the septic system needing to be replaced, right? It was an old residential septic system. It needs to be a commercial septic system. We've got coordination with the Bureau of Safe Drinking Water regarding their water system. We have some comments from NDOT wanting a fence put out along the front property line and limit access to the west side of the building, so we don't have that full access off the highway for that whole property. And then we've got the landscape that still needs to be addressed. I did a site visit on Monday, and I did put you guys on your chairs. We did receive a letter from the state regarding that they have an approval for construct of their septic system. And as of Monday, that septic system is being constructed now. So they still have to finish that septic system. I'm not sure. These guys can give you an update when they turn it over to them. But they are in the process of constructing their septic system. We do require that when they are done, we do have the approved plans, and we do have the approval from the state saying that it was built per plan. So we just have that on record. I do know that they've had some correspondence with the Bureau of Safe Drinking Water regarding their water system, and they can give an update on that. I do know that they are in talks with a surveyor to get their property lines marked out so they can get the fence along the highway onto their property, and it's not within the NDOT right of way. They can update you on that. And then the last thing is they can give you an update on the landscape. So that's all that I know today.
Thank you, Randy. Would you guys like to add, either one of you, like to add anything to the comments that have been made by staff?
Not really. All we be asking, we like to get a little bit more time for the landscape in the front. The safety, they've been 100% complete by now. We're just waiting for the engineer for the certificate, the completion. And we have a site visit on Friday, June 12th, with the engineer. And after that Monday, he will start working on those right away end that he's not sure it's possible. He's gonna need a plans for that, for the landscapers and the property owners. And where they require the landscape and doesn't the property owners, they don't have to pull any permit from NDOT. So he will start working that on Monday.
Is there anything you'd like to add, Miss?
Yeah. Like he said, the septic has been installed, and they're just waiting for the certificate.
Yeah, the final.
The final, yeah, on that. And then same with the water. They just, we need to do the last process because they came and surveyed the water. They did the testing. And they made us do like an operational, and we need to get a little guidance on that. And I think that's to be a final for that.
So one of the requirements is that you guys meet with the planning department to implement the landscape. We did give you 3 months. Where are you at on that? Did you meet with planning to go over landscape and implement a plan? Has that been done in the 3 months allotment time that we allowed? That's something that you guys could do. Has anything been done?
Last time, I think we said that we're trying to finish the septic tank and the water. I think in that we did that first.
Randy, if you can clarify, there's 4 things that have lacked and are not done. I think she might be confused thinking that we were just here for the septic, but there's 4 things that we're waiting for to show any improvement or any progress moving forward. Can you reiterate that, please?
Yeah, so we had the septic system, we have the water, which they are, except septic's done, they just got to get the final from the state. The water, they're working on that with the state. The NDOT, the fence along the front, again, that's something they can do. They just don't want to build it outside the property, so they have a surveyor on board to get that property line staked out so they can build it on their property. And then, of course, the landscape. We talked about it, but I think, they've put their effort into the septic system and the water system since our last meeting. And that was the discussion we had back, I think, 2 months ago when we had them in the office. So they've been trying to get those ones done.
So you have met with them in regards to the planning of the implementation for the landscaping?
We talked about it briefly, but it was just, because again, their focus has been on the longer lead items, right? The septic, because again, those are ran through the state and not through us. So they've been really trying to get those hammered down.
Okay, thank you. I'll open up to the board for discussion, please.
Madam Chair, Mark Hyde for the record. Just a question for you, Mr. Uribe?
Jorge Cruz.
Okay. You said you need more time, and so the items that are still outstanding would be the landscaping, the fence, the septic's done, as I understand, just waiting for approval, and the water.
For the water, we're working on it. We got a site visit with the state on May 6th, and we have only 5 items to correct it. Out of the 5 items, we already fixed 2, so we got 3 left. We connect with a couple of companies, the one they doing the minor operation.
No, I'm personally, I'm happy with the progress that's being made. That's good. My question is, how much time are you asking for to complete these items?
Again, they're going to do the survey for NDOT, and that's in the right of way. That one they can take 4 to 6 months to get the permit. And they're not required the permit, we can get it done in a month. But if we can get, I don't know, a couple of more months, that'd be nice. And we'll got a meeting with a survey on Monday to do the site visit. And by end of the next week, Friday, they say they should be got all those.
So most of these items,
survey
you're
maps.
saying it's a month or 2 months max, but you're saying with NDOT, that could take as long as 6 months.
Yeah, that one they can take a long 6 months.
So if you were to receive an extension of 6 months, you feel like you could have everything finished, completed,
Yeah,
including
6 months, that'd
NDOT,
be nice.
including NDOT,
Yeah, including NDOT.
yeah. Because we'd like to help you finish this, get it done, so we're not
Well, we want to get it done too.
keep renewing and kicking the can down the road, right? So are you comfortable with that idea, that 6
Yeah,
months?
that'd be 6 months. That'd be-
Thank you.
Madam Chairman, Jeff Goings for the record. So I think we were pretty clear on this from the very get-go, that, all of these conditions had to be met. And, again, I think we're into year 2 now, and we're still waiting on conditions to be met. I am, like Member Hyde here, pleased that some of this stuff is being done. But you can work on the landscaping portion of this without having to wait for the septic system to be done or the water system to be done. Those are things that can be done while we're waiting for all the rest of this to happen. So you could be meeting with planning department, showing them what your plans are. Maybe they can't go in right now, but the planning portion of it could be done. And that is my frustration with it all, is that feel like that we've been kind of waiting for one item to get finished before we started another, where many of these items can be completed while we're waiting for the others to finish. So, I'm in agreement. I'm pleased that you guys are moving forward, and we would like to see this business get moving, but these conditions need to be met, and so the sooner you can get after them, the sooner we can get them complete.
Can I get you to put on record, how many tenants do you currently have in there now?
Just one.
So you had 2 last meeting, now you're down to 1. Do you understand the stress and pressure that puts on somebody that's paying you for a rental when they've met everything they need for the county and you guys have not?
Yes.
Okay. I would like to see something in 3 months, maybe landscaping done in 3 months, and then get an update in 3 months rather than pushing this down 6 months. It seems like they wait till the month before they have to come before anything is ever done. Open for discussion?
Are we saying that we can't do the landscaping piece until we know the Department of Transportation borders, or is that a part of the landscaping?
Yeah, so the landscape island that's on the southeast corner of the property, that's on their property. They can do that now.
Perfect.
The fence can be done today as long as they ensure it's on their property and not out in the NDOT right of way. That's why they've got a surveyor on board to make sure they've got their 2 front corners out there.
Right, so I guess to the point of the other commissioners, sorry, Dennis Mills for the record, I guess to the point of the other commissioners, if you guys can get moving on the landscaping as well, get a plan for the fence, so when you get approval from the transportation, you can just go do it. Then a 6-month time probably makes sense, but if you wait, it takes 5 months for the state to get, and then you need to build plans that you could have been making for the last 5 months. We're stretching this out. We just want to get you in good shape. Does that make sense?
Yeah, we
Yeah.
cannot touch the landscape either because we don't know it's in the right of way
Yeah.
and the property owners. That's the issue we have.
Well, but the landscape part that's on your property is the issue I think Randy's describing on the east side, as opposed to the fence. You're distinguishing, Randy, between the fence on the highway and the landscape on the southeast side. Let's get going on that landscape and get a plan for the fence, so when approval comes, you can just do it. Does that make sense, guys? Yeah.
Well, we
Yes.
can start working. on
If you
that.
do that, then 6
Because
months
they got
sounds like...
another planner in the front,
Yeah,
so that's the one we're waiting for.
fair point. But if you're doing it in serial, 6 months doesn't sound like enough.
Well,
But
so
it-
we start working on that
Yeah.
side.
All right, thank you.
It looks like in the requirements too, they're asking you to meet with planning so they at least have a plan of what you're doing. So it is a very small section, as Commissioner Mills did respond, that could have been done and would have liked to have been done in the last 3 months. That little tiny small section is all the county's asking for. Anything else from the board? If not, we'll open it up to public comment. Is there any public comment? Being that there is none, can I entertain a motion?
Madam Chair, Joe Frey for the record. I move to extend this special use permit for 6 months, and if all items are not met in 6 months, automatically begin the revocation process.
A first by Hyde. I'm sorry, by Frey. And I have a second by Goings. Sorry, my pen is out. A second by Goings. All those in favor? Aye. All those opposed?
Nay.
It'll pass 4-2. Revocation process will start at your next meeting time if everything is not completed. Thank you. Thank you for coming tonight. 7, old business B, consideration and possible action regarding renewal of temporary use permit, TUP 25-4, previously granted to Thomas Hugden on May 8th, 2024. The property is located at 7730 Curry Road, assessor's parcel number 006-553-12, in the A10 zoning district. The director is not able to approve the renewal of the permit since significant progress toward reconstruction of the residence was not made in the past year. The applicant is requesting renewal for another year for them to be able to reside in the RV on the property while reconstructing the residence that was damaged by a fire. I see there's somebody here to speak on your behalf. Can you please state your name and your address for the record?
Thomas Hodgson, 7730 Curry Road, Fallon, Nevada, 89406.
Thank you, sir. I'll turn it over to staff.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Again, Randy Hines for the record. Just give a little bit of background. The initial TUP came back in May of 2024 and was approved by this planning commission. After this one was approved, the TUBs got changed to be an administrative function. So with that administrative function, there's requirements in code that say substantial completion has to be met for that year in order for the department to extend it for another year and up to 3 years to build or reconstruct their house. In May of 2025, we extended them one time because it was kind of that transition from planning commission to the department. It comes to us back again May of this year, and again, there has not been any completion done to the residents. Therefore, the department couldn't give them another extension. Hence, why you guys, it's in front of you guys today. So, with that, I can answer any questions.
Thank you, staff. Would you like to add anything, sir?
No, ma'am, I've been having some medical problems, and I have not done much besides cleaning the interior. I have not removed any of the burnt wood, and he is correct. I am sorely lacking in removal of the building.
Thank you, sir. I'd like to open it up to the board for discussion.
Dennis Mills for the record. Mr. Hodgson, I've driven by the place, and it's a big task you got there. I understand that. In a way, we kind of have two choices for the TUP up here besides denial. One is to just put a rubber stamp on it and kick it down the road, and we kind of don't want to do that. The other is to get some understanding from you of what's your plan moving forward, and have you got something sketched out in your head as to how you expect to move forward with this? And if you got anything like that, I'd like to hear your thoughts.
Yes, sir. I like I said, I've been having some medical problems, and I have bought me a little chainsaw so I can, with a pole on it, so I can pull down the rafters, and I just haven't got to it yet because my back's been real bad. And I do have a plan to do it, but I just haven't had the gumption, I guess you'd say. I haven't had the body to. And all my friends that were going to help me were fair weather friends. And
Yeah.
I was hoping today I could get this changed to a medical hardship temporary use permit. I saw, can I read a statement? Then you can tell me what you think.
I don't know the procedure in that case, guys. Any comments you got? Yeah. Yeah, I mean, we do want to know what you have to say, so if that's appropriate, I'd say so.
Okay, my residence was lost or rendered unusable by fire. I have documented medical hardship. I am requesting to change my permit to a medical hardship permit. I am seeking a modification of the permit category, not avoidance of county regulations. I have doctor's letters and letters of support from a multitude of my neighbors. These letters reflect that my neighbors are aware of my situation and support my request for a medical hardship permit. In closing, I am asking for the opportunity to remain on my property while I work through the consequences of the fire and my documented medical condition. I have tried to follow the county's process. I have support from my physician and many of my neighbors, and I respectfully ask for your approval to change to a medical hardship temporary use permit.
I'd like to turn over to staff for direction on that.
Yeah, so typically on the medical hardship, there's the residence, the permanent residence that's being lived in, and then the medical hardship is either, somebody moves in there and lives in the RV to take care of the person in the residence, or it's the person in the residence take care of the person in the RV. Unfortunately, his situation, the residence is the one that's been damaged, so he doesn't meet the requirements of that TUP as well.
And can you remind for the public record, the safety and welfare of somebody living in an RV permanently?
Yeah, I mean, we struggle with that, and we're going to be having a workshop again to discuss these TUPs in July. But again, the RVs are, for temporary residences, not really built to be permanent residents, so that's why we have these requirements for people living in RVs.
Thank you, staff. So it's pretty much black and white, follow code or grant an exception. I'll open up to the board, please.
I would also like to say that I am going to work on the house. I just haven't been able to. But I have had some ablations, and I've got my back brace, and I've got some other tools, and I would like to continue, if I may.
Madam Chairman, Jeff Goings for record. Mr. Hodgson, so the understanding on temporary use permit is it is a temporary use permit.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. That does not mean that you can't keep continuing to work on your house. What that temporary use permit is for an RV on there or a non-conforming house or residence on there while you're constructing your permanent residence. Have you thought and given any thought to moving your RV to an RV location and continuing to work on it to where you don't have to do this annually? I'm putting that out there because I think possibly what I see happening here is that if we renew this in any way, I think we're going to be kicking this can down the road again next year. And it's got to be getting tiresome for you, and I know it's getting tiresome for staff. So my question is would it not make a lot of sense to move that RV to an RV location and get yourself out of this and then go ahead and be able to continue to work on your house?
The problem is I'm on disability, and my wife is on retired Social Security, and we are barely making it as it is with just making my property taxes and living. I can't afford, I won't be able to, I would be homeless. And I need my medical equipment, my oxygen concentrator, my sleep apnea, and my, what do you call it? Anyway, for my breathing. And I won't have any, if I don't have electricity, I'll die.
Okay, so maybe you're missing my point, but based on what you just told me there, I don't see you being able to ever complete your house if you can't afford to pay for $300.50 or this $350, or I don't know what an RV spot costs.
Between
anymore.
$800 and $1,200 now.
Okay, well, if you kind of see where I'm headed, basically what you're asking for is you're asking to live in this RV till perpetuity, because I don't see you having the funds, if that's the case, to be able to do what you're hoping to do, what you were hoping to do in the beginning anyway. And so that's my point is possibly what you need to do is to look at maybe moving this into a spot where you have a little more, reliable power, reliable sewer power or water, so on and so forth.
I have all that reliable stuff where I live. I paid Joe McFadden to put the electricity in. I'm connected to the well that was with the house, and I'm connected to the sewer. And I have all that stuff where I've lived for the last 40 years. And I'm not a burden to society where I'm at. If I am evicted from my property, I can't make it. I will have to go on some kind of county or federal aid, and I really didn't want to do that. And yes, my progress has been nil, or almost nil. I admit that, and I will progress, but I can't tear the building down immediately. I have to do it very slowly because of my health. And I'm just asking for time.
Dennis Mills for the record. Mr. Hodgson, a different question for you. What needs to be done on the house to make it livable at this point?
It needs to have the roof basically removed.
Okay.
3/4 of it is, well, at least half of it is burnt beyond repair. And then I have the 2 walls that have to be replaced, and, you know, the roof put on, and the kitchen and the garage needs to be replaced.
Are you able to get the money to do that? If we could snap our fingers and the damage was gone, are you able to rebuild?
I would have to try to get a loan, and I don't know, because like I said, I'm on disability. I don't know if I could get an equity loan possibly.
Yeah.
Because, like I said, I've been there for 40 years. There's got to be some equity in the improved land. But I know I haven't tried to get an equity loan. That would be probably my only option, unless I don't have anybody. I have nobody to fall back on except
Yeah.
myself.
What I'm brainstorming, gang, and this is, someone's probably going to kick me under the table for this, but I'm curious if a couple folks like local volunteer groups or whoever, if Mr. Hodgson appealed to some folks from local volunteer groups, churches or whatever, to get some labor involved, some progress to be made on this thing, but all that's a moot point if you're not able to build the thing. I don't know, float an idea of perhaps we extend this for 3 months through the summer, and if we're able to summon, if you're able to summon some help from local groups or whatever, and able to get some financing, then that's something we might be able to continue, but otherwise it's a permanent temporary, which we're just really not going to be able to do.
I understand.
I'm curious but I mean, this is out of the ballpark, so I don't know if that makes any sense to the rest of you guys.
Madam Chair, Mark Hyde for the record. I had some of the same questions that Commissioner Mills raised, and that is the extent of improvements, repairs that need to be accomplished. Was there damage also to electrical?
Oh, yes, that's going to have to be, I'm going to have to cut the wall from the kitchen all the way around to the garage, where it goes to the other side of the house.
So
And
has
all
there
that.
been an estimate on what the repairs will cost?
No, I got a civil engineer to give me a report on what I needed to do, but it didn't include cost. I don't believe. It's been 2.5 years since I did that.
Do you have any idea?
Oh, gosh, I would imagine at least $20,000 to $50,000. I would imagine. I really don't know what construction is nowadays, but everything nowadays is just out over the top, and I really don't have any idea what the cost.
Okay,
of
so
that
you
would
haven't
cost.
had anybody come and give you a
me an
bid?
estimate. No, I have
Okay.
not.
And so there's electrical, plumbing, is there plumbing
No,
also involved?
well,
Just,
some plumbing that was in the walls for the kitchen sink and for the water heater, those will have to all be taken care of.
so this fire took place in the kitchen?
What was that?
The fire was located in the kitchen?
No, sir. I had an Indian friend of mine who's since deceased, burning weeds around the outside of the house, and he got underneath the garage, got the weeds or whatever that was going up through the garage, and he started the garage on fire. And by the time the fire was put out, my garage, my breezeway, my kitchen and my garage and the shop, it was the original garage before we put the breezeway and the 2.5 car garage on. That was all burnt before the fire department extinguished it.
Okay. But it does include the kitchen. We're talking about,
Yes, so the kitchen is 3/4, it'd have to be completely, the sink area, the stove, the refrigerator area is all burnt. It has to be, like I said, I have to, with my chainsaw, cut the wall back to where it's good wood and replace everything inside. You know, the plumbing was underneath the sink, so it didn't get burnt, you know. But the cabinets are still there and they're burnt, but the electrical is all have to be replaced when I put new studs in and, you know, new construction.
Mr. Mills offered possibility of a 3-month extension where you could try to secure financing, or there would be, what he suggested would be some volunteer groups who would step in and help you.
I would, if you know of any of those groups, I would like to know who they are because I would definitely contact them. I haven't had anybody besides my friends that all flaked out on me that was gonna help me. Basically, my parents died and I'm basically on my own here. I've been here for 40 years and I guess all my friends were good time friends. I hate to say it, but you find out who people really are when you're struggling.
Well, I just wanted to make one final statement, and that is, there could be a possibility where you do have a 3-month, or what could happen tonight is that it's completely denied.
I can't hear you.
So what could happen is that this temporary use permit could be denied tonight. Or there,
Could be what?
it could be denied. In
Yes,
other words,
sir.
you understand that?
Yes, sir, I realize that.
I mean, we're a compassionate group, but we also are a group that wants to maintain what our code is.
Yes, sir. I've lived here for 40 years.
A temporary use
and-
permit really is meant to be temporary.
Yes, I would.
And Mr. Goings pointed out that given the cost of this and what your current circumstances are, this could go on for much longer than what the definition of temporary means.
Yes, sir,
Could
it
be-
would.
This could be a permanent position that you're asking for, so.
I would hope not.
So we're considering that right now. We're thinking about it. So
Okay.
thank you.
Madam
Thank
Chair,
you.
oh, I'm sorry, did I interrupt you? Madam Chair, Jeff Goings for the record. So, taking into consideration what Commissioner Mills and Hyde both talked about, and I think we are a compassionate group here, so we're not trying to, you know, send you on your merry way. I don't think 3 months is going to do it. I personally think that if we're going to do an extension, it should be 6 months.
Thank you.
And I'm not sure it's going to make any difference, but I think in 180 days, you could at least be reaching out to maybe some church groups or some veteran groups or somewhere. I think it's going to take you probably take you 60 to 90 days just to try to find those groups. Again, I don't know that it's all going to make any difference in the end, but I think everybody here is willing to, you know, give you an opportunity to try to reach out and get this going. We don't want to have to do this.
I know,
This is
I know.
not, this is not good for us either, but we have to follow what's been laid out as Churchill County Code.
I
And
understand.
we're kind of backed up against the wall. And I'm in agreement, let's give you an opportunity, but you got to use that opportunity and you're going to have to get after it pretty quickly.
Thank you, sir.
It's not approved yet, that's what I'm thinking anyway.
Thank you for your consideration. I really appreciate that.
Dennis Mills here, just one more comment to that point. What I'm looking for, Mr. Hodgson, I know the medical issues makes even sometimes thinking a difficult task, you know, times when I've had challenges in my life, but I think what we're looking for, if we do extend this for a period of months, we're looking when you come back to see progress and a plan, right? To the point so far, even if someone comes out and we snap our fingers and this damage is fixed, if you don't have any way or any ideas or plans for how to actually get it rebuilt to where you can get out of the RV, it doesn't solve our problem, right? The TUP is forever. So if we do propose an extension of this, the burden on your shoulders, besides some progress, is a plan, financing some avenue, because otherwise we're just both falling off a cliff, right?
I
All right.
understand.
Okay, bud, thank you.
Sir, progress has got to be made in some way, shape, or form. Have you and your wife thought about Plan B at this phase in your life, where you would go and what you're going to do next? Selling the property so that you can live someplace? Or have you thought about a Plan B?
No, ma'am. No, ma'am. Well, honestly, no. I've been there 40 years, and I was hoping to live and die right here in my little piece of the desert, and evidently all the work and everything has just amounted to evidently nothing.
So if they do propose some form of an extension or something, will you have a Plan B?
I will.
Because it won't continue to be renewed.
Right, I understand that, and I will come up with something. If I can't get financing, we'll have to possibly put it on the market, definitely put it on the market, because if I can't come up with some kind of plan for deconstruction, reconstruction, financing, I agree with you. I don't have a leg to stand on. The only thing I can say, or I would like to point out, is, I've lived here for quite a while, and I deliver propane, and I see a multitude of people living in their RVs, and even people on Facebook advertising for tenants to live in their RV at their house, and I just find it's a shame that somebody has lived here so long, and I've never been in trouble, and I've always paid my bills, and I don't, I've been a good citizen, that I'm gonna find myself homeless, and it's disappointing.
So if there is an extension or they propose something like that, when you come back in 3 months, you'll have a Plan B. If you do decide to have the house listed for sale, not to tell us at night that you're listing it for sale, it'll already be for sale, or whatever plan you have an action for it and have it in place?
Yes, ma'am, I will have to. I have no choice. I'll have to have something going on, or I can't live I can't live on the street. I have medical needs that
I understand, sir.
I have to have power to breathe. These tanks only last 3 or 4 hours, and I couldn't. And you have to have a residence to get oxygen deliveries, and I couldn't. It would be a death sentence to be on the street. It's plain and simple. Or like I said, I'd be a burden to society, because some kind of social or program, which I would have to be on or enrolled in, and like I said, I didn't want to be a burden to society. Right now we're paying our bills and taking care of ourselves, and not being a burden. We're not bleeding any public funds.
Gotcha. Thank you, sir. Is there anything else the board would like to add?
Madam Chair, Joe Frey for the record. Just a little point of clarification. I know it's unfortunate, your medical situation and everything else. The county stance is, we've gone over the reasons for the temporary use permit, and you do not qualify for a temporary use permit. If this temporary use permit goes away, I don't believe the sheriff is going to be knocking on your door and evicting you tomorrow. You're just going to be living there without a temporary use permit, but I believe your well will still pump water, your toilet will still flush. You're just doing it at your own risk without the county's blessing, so to speak. So I just want to make that distinction, that there's, your situation's unfortunate. Like Mr. Hyde said, we're a compassionate group of people, but at the same time, we can't condone that, a temporary use permit go on for 2 years with no plan in sight, you know, and take up another half hour of the next meeting that we have, so.
I understand that.
But we would all be happy to help you find that group to make it happen. If that's what you
would
so choose,
appreciate
we could
that.
all be reached for that. But, you know, the potential denial of the renewal for the temporary use permit would be nothing personal. It would just be that the county is saying, you don't meet the conditions, you no longer have that permit to live there. So,
Yeah, my house was burned down for 4 years, and I wanted to put a room on it to, you know, a room to where we could have a living room and basically cook and sleep in the trailer. So I called the county because I didn't want to work outside the rules, you know, to see if I needed a permit, and that's when you guys, even though my taxes fell down, somebody knew that my house burnt down. They said that I couldn't be living there, and that's when I got my first permit and got the ball rolling as far as getting a structural guy to tell me what I needed to do and meet the county codes, which when they came to inspect, that I already had sewer and water and everything, because like I said, I'd been there for at least 4 years before you guys, the board, was aware of my situation or was forced to address my situation. So,
Well, thank you, sir. Is there anything you need to add, Mr. Frey? No. Is there any public comment? Seeing that there is none, can I entertain a motion?
Madam Chair, Mark Hyde for the record. I move that we renew temporary use permit TUP 25-4, previously granted to Thomas Hodgin on May 8th, 2024, for a period of 6 months.
thank you.
We have a motion from Commissioner Hyde, a second by Commissioner Goings. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed?
Thank you so much.
It'll pass for a 6-month extension. Thank you for your time, sir.
Thank you.
Moving on, item number 8, new business. A, consideration and possible action regarding a division into large parcel map application PC 25-5 filed by Mick Casey. The property is located at 14001 Cadet Road. Assessors parcel number is 007-071-16, consisting of 221.21 acres in the A10 zoning district. The applicant proposes to divide property into 4 large parcels. Those wanting to speak on this behalf, please come forward, state your name, address for the record.
My name's Steve Bell with Bell Land Surveying.
Mick Casey, I don't know if I'll say anything or not.
Address for you, Mr. Bell.
There we go. Okay, my home address is 100 Fillmore Way, Reno.
Thank you. I'll turn it over to staff.
Dan Colon, Churchill County Planning for the record. I have before you PC 25-5. Applicant is requesting to divide a 221.21 acre parcel into 4 parcels of 40.01 acres, 46.15 acres, 72.12 acres, and 64.57 acres. Minimum lot size required for a DLLP is 40 acres. Staff is able to make all of the findings as outlined in the staff report, meeting the purpose of the Division of Land title in County Code, and therefore recommends approval with conditions. Available for any questions that you may have.
Thank you, Dan. Would you like to add anything, Mr. Bell?
No?
Okay, perfect. Thank you. Open it up to the board for discussion. Seeing that there is none, go on for public comment. Can I entertain a motion?
Madam Chair, Victor Ansotigi for the record. Based on the information provided in the application in the staff report and heard tonight, I move to find that the purpose for regulating the division of land outlined in Churchill County Code 16.12.010 and findings to impose conditions under Churchill County Code 16.04.050 have been met for the parcel map PC 25-5 to create 4 large parcels at 14001 Cadet Road, Assessor's Parcel Number 007-071-16, and therefore recommend the Board of County Commissioners approve the parcel map application. Second.
We have a first by Commissioner Ansotegi, a second by Frey. All those in favor? Aye. All those opposed? It'll move forward to the Board of County Commissioners unanimously. Thank you for your time this evening.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
8, new business. Consideration and possible action regarding parcel map applications PC 26-1, PC 26-2, PC 26-3, PC 26-4, and PC 26-5, filed by P4 Properties LLC to implement a cluster development. The property is located at 3435 Lima Lane. Assessor's parcel number is 006-331-82 in the A5 zoning district. The applicant is proposing to create 16 parcels with the 5 maps and will record a conservation easement on the remaining agricultural parcel. Please state your name and address for the record.
David Crook, Loomis and Associates, 275 West Williams.
Travis Peak, P4 Properties, 5499 Casey Road.
Thank you. I'll turn it over to staff.
Dan Colon, Churchill County Planning for the record. I have before you the applications PC 26-1, -2, -3, -4, and -5. The applicant is requesting to implement an approved tentative map for a cluster development, creating 15 new parcels and 1 conservation easement on a 78.38 acre parcel via 5 second and subsequent parcel maps. Tentative map was approved by the Board of County Commissioners on November 3rd, 2022. Staff is able to make all of the findings in order to meet the purpose of the Division of Land title of Churchill County Code, and therefore recommends that the Planning Commission approve with conditions this application, well, these applications.
Thank you, Dan. I do have one question in regards to the reading. It's stated 16 parcels. I see that the plan division is for 15. Is that 16th parcel the one that's being held for the conservation easement?
There are 15 new parcels and 1 conservation easement parcel, so a
Correct.
total of 16.
Perfect. I just want to get that on record. Thank you. Open it up to the board. Actually, do you guys have anything you'd like to add? Okay, perfect. I'll open up to the board for discussion.
Yeah, Madam Chair, Mark Hyde for the record. What will be the size of these lots?
The lots will be between 1 and 2 acre parcels.
And so, explain what the septic system will look like for these lots.
What's that?
Septic and well per lot?
Yes.
And some are only 1 acre lots?
Yeah, they're primarily 1 acre lots. They kind of border the BOR on the backside of the drainage ditch and stuff. So, but they all have to be on septic or with well. It's too far away from any county or city hookups, anything.
So the reason I bring that up is because our posture has been not to have 1 acre lots with septic and well. Isn't that true?
That's true, yeah. For cluster developments, you do have that option to get down to 1 acres. That's part of the cluster development.
I realize
requirements
we've
in
been
code.
able to do that in the past.
Hmm?
I realize we've been able to do that in the past, but
It's still in code.
still,
Yep.
okay.
For cluster developments, and this is what this is. It's a cluster development because we're putting a conservation easement on the rest.
Yeah, I just want to make
do-
sure that was clear because
Yeah,
I did a cluster development and then had to come in and talk about that because, to get it cleared up. And so then I thought, well, maybe in the future, cluster developments with 1 acre lots would not be approved. So thanks for the education.
I do want to note that I think on the tentative map, there was septic and well layout, if I recall. So again, there was that on that tentative map.
Dan Collin, for the record, there was on the tentative map a increased distance in order to maintain a 150-foot distance between well and septic, and all parcels were able to meet that.
Dennis Mills for the record. 2 questions. I think One is I was reading in the documentation you presented about how rapidly the water permeated through the soil. And we've got the canal right across the road from there. Is there, and maybe staff has some guidance on policy in the past, is there any guidance on how far away from like a water system those septic systems need to be?
Dan Kalon for the record. It meets all the requirements under NAC. I believe it's 25 feet. I don't know it offhand because I don't have it in front of me, but it does meet it, and it's to the edge of the feature, not to the edge of the easement. So they have sufficient feature, and I believe the applicant addressed this in part of the comments before they revised the map and submitted it for this application meeting.
Okay, so let me make sure I'm understanding. When you say the feature, are we saying that current code says that the end of a septic field can be within 20 feet of the canal?
Saying from the edge of the canal. So the easement is
Yeah.
larger than the canal.
Yeah,
So it is to the edge of the canal feature,
okay.
physically, not to the edge of the easement. So
Yeah,
right
yeah.
now it's about, I believe, 10 to 15 feet as on this map, but there's an additional more than 10 feet that's there. We
Sure.
confirmed this, so.
Well, you got the full width of Lima Lane plus the space into the parcel properties, but,
We were more concerned about the drainage. That also counts, so.
yeah, okay, gotcha, good. Second question, I drove out there quickly, but didn't want to, walk across your property or the people next door, but you mentioned on your map that there's an old unused ditch that's going to be filled in there, and all I saw was the existing ditch that's in use. So can you clarify the ditch that goes out on both sides that looks like it's in use along, is that along the backside, or?
Yeah, the only ditch that's in, that we got a permit for, from TCID and BOR to take and move the existing ditch, and that was moved to the east side of the property.
Okay,
The old ditch was, very tough to maintain. Everything was very old. It's still sand, but everything was constructed per their TCID standards. New takeouts, all that stuff put in.
I just want to clarify that, so the new ditch is like along the sides of the cluster development up there on the east?
Yeah, yes, it runs on the very east side of the property on the back side. It's a straight line now. Previously, you can kind of see how it meandered through the property, and now it's straight shot through.
It's going to go over to the ditch that winds around the house that's off?
Yes, it does. Yeah.
I couldn't see it from the road, so I said, I don't want you filling that ditch in. Thank you.
In reviewing the Churchill County Surveyor agency comments, they did have 15 corrections for the map, Mr. Crook. Has those corrections to the map been made, especially the one for the ditch easement that encroaches into the 60-foot road easement on parcel 4, and then identify the location of Fisherman Road on parcel 4? Are you familiar with the agency's comments regarding
Dan
the 15
Kalon,
corrections?
for the record,
Yes,
Fisherman Road
please.
is the next application.
Oh, I see. Okay, it's in the same packet for me.
Oh, sorry.
Gotcha, okay. Withdraw that. So that has nothing to do with a new business B that we're doing now? The 15 conditions that stated that need to be corrected on the maps?
There are more than 15 conditions on this application. We have
No,
about
there
2
was
pages.
15 corrections that needed to
Yeah,
be
no.
Churchill County Surveyor.
That's the next one. This one, there's about 3 pages of all of the comments from the surveyor.
Okay,
So,
perfect, just so we're on the same page, thank you.
Which, those comments have already been addressed as well.
Addressed,
from Jeff,
wonderful,
yes.
thank you. Any other comments from the board? Seeing that there are none, I would open up for public comment.
Madam Chairman, Dennis Mills for the record.
Yes.
Based on the information provided in the application and the staff report and heard tonight, I move we find that the purpose for regulating the division of land outlined in CCC 16.12.010 and finding to impose the conditions under CCC 16.04.050 have been met for parcel maps PC 26 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, to implement a cluster development creating 15 new parcels and record a conservation easement on the remaining parcel at 3435 Lima Lane. Assessor's parcel number 006-33182. Recommend the Board of County Commissioners approve the parcel map application.
I have a first by Commissioner Mills, second by Commissioner Goings. All those in favor? Aye. All those opposed? Our recommendation to the Board of County Commissioners will be forwarded with our approval. Thank you for your time this evening. All right, 8, new business C, consideration and possible action regarding a parcel map application PC 26-6 filed by Gary and Roxanne Lewis and Bruce and Barbara Lewis. The property is located on McLean Road, assessor's parcel number 008-492-83 in the E1 zoning district. The applicant proposes to create 3 parcels. Mr. Crook, are you staying on for this one? Okay, can you please state your name and address for the record on this item?
David Crook, Loomis and Associates, 275 West Williams Avenue.
Thank you. I'll turn it over to staff.
Dan Klon for the record. I have before you PC 26-6. The applicant is requesting to divide a 16.23 acre parcel into 2 5-acre parcels and 1 6.23 acre remainder parcel. The proposed parcel is in the First Estates District, E1, and does not connect to water or sewer services. Therefore, the minimum required lot size is 5 acres. Staff is able to make all of the required findings to meet the purpose of Churchill County Code 16.12.010, Division of Land, and therefore recommends the application be, or the board approve the application with conditions provided. Available for any questions. Thank you.
Thank you, staff. Would you like to add anything? Perfect. I'll open up to the board for discussion.
Madam Chair, I need to recuse myself. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else?
Madam Chair, Joe Frey for the record. Is there a proposed parcel map that we can look at, or is there? Okay, thank you.
Dennis Mills for the record. One quick question is, for this approval, do we need TCID to comment, given that it's going crosswise of one existing field and the ditches and stuff would need to be adjusted or water right taken off of the land?
Dan Klon for the record. Water rights taken from the land is just a normal condition of approval to create a parcel, so there's no consultation required at this point in time. They will be providing feedback as they go through and take the water off the parcel.
I know there's a portion of water right that needs to come off for construction of a house, but that's got a lot more water right than the county needs to retain for that.
Yeah, that will be taken care of at the parcel map stage when with the final recording.
Got it. Okay.
Mr. Crook, have all the corrections been corrected based off of the Churchill County Surveyor's requirements with the 13
Yes, they have.
corrections? Okay, wonderful, thank you. And then can you please explain, Dan, on JERA's Churchill County Buildings geotech report suggested the septic system design for potential high groundwater. Can you explain that, please?
So this is located along the Carson River, therefore it is close to the river and may have high groundwater. This is just a standard note to say that there may not be the ability to put a septic on the property because of high groundwater, other than going through an engineered system. It's just a standard comment.
And what about the elevation certificate that's required?
That was corrected. So what you see in front of you right now has the area X, so that allows landowners to understand where the 0.2% flood zone is, as well as the 1% flood zone, so that way they understand whether or not they need to elevate their house if they construct a house there.
Perfect, thank you. Any other further questions from the board? Seeing that there is none, is there any public comment? I'll entertain a motion, please.
Madam Chair, Joe Frey for the record. Based on the information provided in the application, in the staff report, and heard tonight, I move to find that the purpose for regulating the division of land outlined in CCC 16.12.010 and finding to impose conditions under CCC 16.04.050 have been met. For the parcel map PC 26-6 to create 3 parcels, parcel at assessor's parcel number 008-492-83, and therefore recommend the Board of County Commissioners approve the parcel map application.
If you recuse yourself, how do you second it? All right. We have a first by Commissioner Frey, a second by Commissioner Goings. All those in favor? Aye. All those opposed? It will pass with approval and recommendation to the Board of County Commissioners 5-0. Thank you. Thank you for your time.
Thank you very much.
All right, 8 new business. Consideration of possible action regarding a variance application, VAR 26-5, filed by Sharon Pierce. The property is located at 1415 Golden Parkway, assessor's parcel number 008-312-71 in the E1 zoning district. The applicant requests a variance from the setback requirements for an accessory dwelling unit. And if you don't mind speaking up and saying your name and address for the record, both of you, please.
My name's Jay Pierce, and we live at the 1415 Golden Parkway.
Kelly Pierce, 1415 Golden Parkway.
Perfect, thank you. I'll turn it over to staff.
Dan Collin, Churchill County Planning for the record. I have before you application VAR 26-5. The applicant is requesting an 8-foot reduction in the rear yard setback from 20 feet to 12 feet to allow an accessory dwelling unit within an existing legally constructed detached accessory structure. The detached accessory structure was constructed in 2011 and should have been classified as an ADU at the time of construction. The applicant is requesting this variance as part of a conditional zoning permit application to make the ADU legal. This is a variance application. Staff is required to make 4 findings. Well, the board is, or Planning Commission is required to make 4 findings. First being that the property is characterized by an extraordinary or exceptional situation. Staff believes that this is the case. This was a legally constructed accessory structure that met the definition in 2011 of an ADU. It should have required a special use permit at that point in time, but it was constructed legally through building permit. That is an exceptional situation. Strict application of the regulation would result in peculiar and exceptional practical difficulties or exceptional and undue hardships upon the owner of the property. Currently, staff and the county consider this a non-conforming detached accessory structure despite meeting the ADU definition. The applicant is working to legalize the ADU through the conditional zoning permit process, and this variance, a exceptionally strict definition would require removing a bathroom, which is not what we're going to do. We are just considering this a detached accessory structure. But since the strict application here would be difficult to apply, staff believes that this finding is met. Third finding is granting the variance will not be materially detrimental to the public health, safety, or welfare or property in the vicinity. This property was legally constructed. It meets building code from 2011. It already has hookups to the existing well and water. There are no detrimental impacts to public health, safety, or welfare. And likewise, neighboring property owners have signed a petition for a minor variance for increasing the size to no more than 10% of the 1,000 square foot ADU size. Therefore, staff is able to make this finding. Finally, the proposed variance is consistent with the intent and purpose of this title. The setbacks are designed to provide for buffers between different land uses and landowners. We look at height and separation. This is a single-story structure. It has several trees buffering it from nearby neighbors. None of the neighbors have an issue with the location of the structure currently. All they're looking to do is change the use inside the structure to effectively allow for an additional dwelling unit there. Since this is mitigating the incompatibilities between properties and it meets current code for a detached accessory structure, staff finds that this variance is consistent with the intent and purpose of the title, and therefore recommends that the Planning Commission approve this application with conditions in the staff report. And I'm available for any questions if you have any.
Thank you, Dan. To add? Nothing. So this took place, there was an error in the county in 2011. When did you guys take title?
We bought the house in December, just this past
25.
In
December.
25?
Yeah.
Well, thank you for coming forward and making this right. Perfect. Is there anything the board would like to add? Questions?
Staff, you made a comment, Dan, Dennis Mills for the record, sorry. Dan, you made a comment about did I hear you say there's not a bathroom in that unit at this point?
There's a bathroom. It was originally constructed with a bathroom, effectively kitchen layout with a sink, but no cooking surface. So at that point in time, and I believe still currently, the definition for building code requires the implementation of some sort of cooking device, typically 240 volt or gas hookup. There was no gas hookup or 240 volt cooking surface, even though it meets our code, which says specifically an accessory dwelling unit, detached or attached living quarters of a permanent construction that may contain kitchen or cooking facilities clearly subordinate and incidental to the use of the main building on the same parcel for use of residents of the single-family dwelling. Accessory dwelling units may be rented only if the owner lives in the parcel, and that's pretty much the key definition part. So yeah, it meets our definition, but it didn't meet building code. It went to building, they didn't refer it to planning, therefore they approved it because they didn't consider it an ADU, even though our definition would have required it to be an ADU.
Thanks.
And is it your intent and purpose, you guys are wanting to add on to this and build onto it because you are going to move somebody in there to live, is that correct?
Yeah, my parents,
So we're actually not like making it larger, just,
changing the footprint
yeah,
inside it.
inside, adding some walls for a room, basically.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Thank you. Any other questions from the board? Any public comment? Seeing that there is none, let's entertain a motion.
Madam Chair, Vic Ansotigi for the record. Based on the information provided in the application in the staff report and heard tonight, I move to find that the criteria found in Churchill County Code 16.08.090F have been met and therefore approve the variance VAR 26-5 to reduce the setback requirements for an accessory dwelling unit parcel at 1415 Golden Parkway, assessor's parcel number 006-312-71.
First by Commissioner Ansotigi, second by Commissioner Frey. All those in favor? Aye. All those opposed? Your variance has been approved 6-0. Thank you for your time this evening.
Thank you.
8, new business E, consideration and possible action regarding a special use permit application, SUP 26-9, filed by Jordan Huffman. The property is located at 1322 Bench Road. Assessor's parcel number is 007-191-09 in the A10 zoning district. The applicant proposes to operate a home-based automotive window tinting business where customers will drop off and pick up their vehicles at his residence. Can you please state your name and address for the record?
Yes, Jordan Huffman at 1322 Bench Road, Fallon.
And I'll turn it over to staff, please.
Karina Nolasco, for the record, Churchill County Planning, SUP 26-9. The applicant is requesting to establish a home-based business for automotive window tinting services. This use anticipates 1 to 4 visitors per day between the hours of 8 a.m. and 5 p.m. Monday through Friday. Services will be by drop-off, appointment only, and conducted in the garage. Staff received a public comment concern related to dust generation. Therefore, the condition of no more than 4 customers per day shall be allowed during the hours of operation. Staff is able to make all 5 findings. Therefore, staff recommends approve with conditions. I'm open for questions. Thank you.
Is there anything you'd like to add, sir?
Say again?
Is there anything you would like to add?
No.
Okay, perfect. I'll open up to the board for discussion, please.
Madam Chair, Joe Frey for the record. The restriction to 1 to 4 visitors per day, will that inhibit your business at all, or will that allow you to do everything that you need to do?
No, that was the plan.
Okay.
And have you read over, you're familiar with all the conditions that you have to meet and follow and abide by?
Yes, ma'am.
Perfect, thank you. Any further questions? Any public comment? Yes, sir. You'll have 3 minutes to speak if you can come up. You'll come up to this table right here, sir. Thank you. All of your comments or information will be directed towards the board up here, okay? Thank you. You're welcome. I need your name and your address for the record. You have 3 minutes.
I apologize for being long-winded. I come by it honestly. My dad was
Your time has started, sir.
My name is Bruce Cunningham, 1240 Bench Road, Fallon, Nevada. You're all aware of what I stated prior. There are several issues that are quite important to me, and I think move away from the original intent of the zoning out there. The zoning, and your map doesn't show clearly where my property is in relation to the house. I was given a map, and if the entire map is shown, you'll see a green spot in the upper left of the map. That's my house. My front door is 60 feet away from the road. As I say, I don't know whether it's an easement or what it is. It's just a road that somebody put in there so they could get down to their house. It goes down the ditch easement and then goes almost due west. And yeah, my house sits, it's a spot, you see the blue square? If you move, right just back a hair, right there is my house. Now, we are suffering a lot of dust and dirt because of this road in general. My wife, where we had to clean once a week with our old house with bad windows, she cleans 3 times a week and can't keep up with the dirt now that's coming in because of this road. We are to the north and east of this road, and where do the prevailing winds come? They come from the southwest and they blow northeast, right to my front door. And traffic is increased drastically on this road already, and I mentioned, and I didn't mention the non-conforming use, but that has increased the traffic quite a bit. But any increase in traffic is a real burden on us, just trying to keep the place clean. My wife has ceased to garden because of the dust of residential and delivery vehicles going up and down that road all day long. And everyone knows that the delivery vehicles certainly don't care about dusting my house. So it's created quite a burden on us, just the road in general. Anything that increases traffic is an increased burden. My wife likes to garden. She can't garden. She can't go out in the clouds of dust.
Thank you, Mr. Cunningham, for your time. Your 3 minutes is up. We will
Okay.
definitely take all your comments that you stated in the beginning of the meeting, and also at this time, we'll take into consideration.
May I
So
make
thank you
one
for
more
your time.
comment?
Nope, your time is up, sir.
Oh, okay.
If you can please have a seat with the rest of the public, we'll open it up to other public comment for other people.
Okay.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, okay.
Is there any other public comment? You just need to take a seat back in the aisles there, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you. Is there any other public comment on this? Seeing that there is none, can I take it over to regarding the zoning comment that the public comment brought into concern stating that we're not following the proper zoning? Can you please clarify that?
Dan Klon for the record. This is a home-based business, and they are requesting a special use permit so that way people can come to the parcel. The site is being used, all of the use of the site is going to be inside the existing garage, which is not on this aerial. The applicant has constructed a large, I believe, 3-car garage. All of the tinting is going on inside of that structure. There we go. And the site is accessed by a non-exclusive access easement, benefiting both of this parcel and several other parcels further to the west. So, yeah.
Thank you for clarification and putting that on record. I'd also like to put on record that there is a compliance officer that does work for the county, so anytime you have any problems, comments, or questions, please contact the compliance officer with Churchill County. And I'll open it up to the board for any discussion. If there is none, and entertain a motion, please.
Madam Chair, just a question. How many people actually use that road currently? No, I'm talking to, sir, I'm talking to the applicant.
It would be me, and then we have one neighbor directly to the right of that image, and then you could see the road going along. There's another neighbor back there, so it'd be one person in the dwelling back on the bottom left right there, and then the owners of the house directly to the left of my property would be, there's 2 of them. And then they do have, it looks like they have some people that stay in the back somewhere, a couple of them.
Yeah, so what I'm thinking in my mind is that if the only way we can mitigate the dust is to pave the road. If we gravel the road, we'd still have a problem with dust.
If I can make a comment on that.
Sure.
Yeah, so all the road maintenance I do, and I intend to keep doing and improve on the road. I don't like people making dust. I always make sure to go very slow down the road. I tell anybody that comes to my place, go very slow down the road to be respectful to the neighbors. Anybody delivering package and stuff, I see you going down the road, I tell them slow down, and they're usually pretty respectful about it. So I don't enjoy the dust either. I'm not here to make dust or make problems for anybody, so.
Yeah, and you're well within your rights here of a home-based business. And it would be an undue burden on you to require you to pave this amount of, this stretch of road. That'd be the only way you'd completely mitigate the dust.
I intend to add gravel to it, at some point when the funds are there. But like I said, I don't like the dust either, so.
Okay, thank you.
The wind does blow in Nevada,
Oh,
especially
yeah,
in
for
Fallon,
sure.
so you're going to have dust even if you pave the road.
Yep.
I do want to bring notice to a letter that was submitted, and there was concerns regarding several trailer space occupants that are your neighbors that are causing a lot of dust. That is something that you could file a complaint with the compliance officer, people living in RVs that shouldn't be living in RVs. That could be an avenue that you guys could do that to mitigate some of that dust.
Okay.
With that said, I would like to entertain a motion if you don't have anything to say, Mr. Mills.
Dennis Mills for the record, just one further question to make sure. Staff, if I understand correctly, one of the reasons for an SUP for a home-based business is to allow a business to get a foothold till they're big enough to have a commercial operation someplace else. So if I'm correct, right? So the purpose isn't to solely let this gentleman grow to 20 customers a day or 80 customers a day on a dirt road. The goal is to let him get started. Is that the purpose of an SUP here?
So the purpose of an SUP is to regulate the impacts that go beyond a normal administratively issued home-based business. So we have a number of things that we are looking at. One is visitors, screening, signage, employees. In this case, the only thing that is coming up in part of this application is visitors coming to the site, which deviates from a normal home-based business. So we are providing conditions of approval for that. As for the conditions of operation, we have provided conditions in order to mitigate the impacts on neighbors, which is limiting it to 4 customers per day. If the applicant wants to expand, he would need to come in for another special use permit, pending your approval if you guys choose to approve this current application. Otherwise, if he expands beyond the size and scope of his special use permit, he is able to look for a business within the appropriate zoning.
Perfect. Thank you, Dan. Based on the information provided in the application, in the staff report and heard tonight, I move to find that the criteria found in CCC 1608-080H have been met and therefore approve the special use permit SUP 26-9 to establish a home-based business at 1322 Bench Road, APN 007-19109.
I had a motion that Mills, first it by Mills, second by Goings. All those in favor? Aye. All those opposed? You will have a special use permit, has been approved, 6-0, sir.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Moving on, 8, new business. F, consideration and possible action regarding a special use permit application, SUP 26-11, filed by Brianna Alcaraz Avalos of Tiny Tots Learning LLC. The property is located at 6450 Zephyr Lane, assessor's parcel number 008-133-09 in the E1 zoning district. The applicant is proposing to establish a home-based daycare. If you'll please state your name and address for the record.
Brianna Alcaraz Avalos, 64 Zephyr Lane, Valley, Nevada. Oh, 6450, sorry.
I'm Jose Alcaraz, 6450 Zephyr Lane.
Thank you. I'll turn it over to staff.
All right, Dan Klon for the record, Churchill County Planning. I have before you application SUP 26-11. Applicant is requesting to establish a home-based family daycare business with up to 12 children operating from 7 a.m. to 5 p.m. in First Estates E1 district. The application, staff is able to make all 5 of the required findings, though I would like to call attention to a couple of the conditions of approval. First and foremost, there's the provision of the ADA parking space. They just need to expand the existing paved parking space by 3 feet. We have the requirement for state and federal approvals, as well as any approvals from the state of Nevada. Staff is recommending that the hour of operations be expanded to 7 a.m. to 6 p.m. to allow for additional flexibility on drop-off times, and limiting the number of children to 10 unless there is proof of an additional parking space, in which case then they would be able to go up to 12. Therefore, staff recommends the Planning Commission approve with conditions attached, and I'm available for any questions that you may have.
Is there anything you'd like to add? No. I have a few things I'd like to state and get clarification on with you, Dan. And I want you guys, have you guys read through the conditions and know what they're asking and requiring you to do? You have read through them. And are you okay with all of them? You have no questions? Okay. So fire suppression, as far as a home-based business, most people wouldn't put a fire suppression in their home. Dan, can you clarify that as far as what is the extent of that, or if that's exactly what you're asking?
So fundamentally what we're asking for is the requirements that are for building, meeting all building requirements, including fire code. Under fire code, if you have more than 5 children in a residential structure, it changes the occupancy, building occupancy, from R3 to E, which changes the level of review from Churchill County to the state fire marshal. At that point, the state fire marshal is going to impose all of the requirements that they have the ability to impose. What I have before you today is additional information on the Nevada Administrative Code in terms of child care facilities and general requirements. And I'm just going to state for the record right now that the condition is a general condition. If there's fire suppression required, that's what it is. However, under NAC 477.562, subsection, bear with me. Okay. Subsection 1I, portable fire extinguishers must have a minimum rating of 2 ACE-10BC and must be mounted pursuant to the requirements of the NFPA Standard 10 2018 edition and or the authority having jurisdiction. Additionally, it states under NAC 477.568, automatic sprinkler system for certain child care facilities used after midnight. which outlines that if you have children there between the hours of, I believe, 12 a.m. and 6 a.m., then an automatic sprinkler system is required. That said, this is in the state of the state fire marshal. Staff has no ability to change that, but it is a general condition in order to meet building code.
Perfect. Thank you for your clarification. The second thing is even if you get licensed through the state, which the state will license you for 1 to 6 or 6 to 12, you're asking for 12. So even if the state licenses you up to 12 children, the county is restricting you to 10. Do you understand that? Okay. And then do you guys plan on addressing the parking issue, which is the only thing that's stopping you from having the 2 additional children to complete your full ratio?
So we're currently working on that. Right now, obviously, it's pretty expensive, but we're trying to clear up the dust and do the foundation before we proceed with the concrete to build on the parking spaces. We have also talked to Dan about the parking space on Zephyr, if we could do it, go horizontal on it. So we're building on that and trying to figure out a plan to have more parking space.
Wonderful. Thank you. I'll open up to the board for discussion. Go ahead, Dan.
Dan Colon, for the record, I would like to just make a clarification. We only require 1 paved ADA parking space. We do not require all the parking spaces to be paved, just the ADA parking space.
Correct, but the clarification, I guess that you need to clarify is if you're limiting them to only 10 children, that was for the tandem parking, not the ADA.
That is correct.
Okay, perfect, thank you. Anyone on the board?
Madam Chair, Joe Frey for the record. I believe this works out, but just if, based on the proposed the recommendation in the staff report, let's just say hypothetically the conditions are not met to get to where there could be 12 children there, we would have already approved the special use permit, so they could still have up to 5, and no further stuff
Correct.
needs to be done at that point. Okay,
Correct.
thank you.
Madam Chair, I'd like to interrupt you a bit. Talking about, again, Randy Hines for the record, I just want to talk about the ADA parking, right? That does get paved or concrete. But I just want to add in there, so it's not a surprise, that there has to be an ADA access route to the building as well. And if there's steps, there's a potential ramp that may have to be put in as, just so it's clear that if you make the concrete space, then don't have all the other provisions, then I just wanted to bring it to your attention. So it's not just the space, it is the route as well to the house.
In reading through your recommendations, not only were you requiring that, but you were requiring the house to be ADA compliant as well, the entire home.
Correct. Correct. And you would have to have an ADA bathroom and, yes. So,
All right, board?
Yeah, Madam Chair, Mark Hyde for the record. Just clarification again for me, are we saying that if we have more than 5, there must be fire suppression?
We are saying if there's more than 5, the occupancy changes to E, and therefore they need to meet all of the state fire marshal requirements. That is what we are saying.
Yeah, okay.
So I'm going to continue on with that because I was also a little bit behind here. So we now have to meet fire marshal conditions. Fire marshal has 2 different conditions, and they can, the up to 12 can be handled with handheld fire extinguishers. Beyond that, then they have to go to a full fire suppression system, or fire sprinkler system. Is that correct? Was there a number there that stopped them?
I'm just going to state for the record that we're getting into something that is
Yeah.
fire code, not
I understand.
planning
Yeah.
code, so I do not pretend to understand
Okay.
exactly what the requirements are.
Understand.
yeah, and we just wanted to, again, we just want to make sure that when we do, when that number hits 5 or more than 5, it does change the use in building codes. And we just have to make sure that now there's provisions in place that meet fire code for that use.
So then that will fall back on you folks. You're going to have to handle that through state fire marshal or, the fire marshal. You understand that, correct?
Yeah, and that'll be also ran through the building department first,
Building-
and then
absolutely,
our
yes.
building official will direct them in where they need to go from there.
And just for our clarification for you two, we are on board and we need childcare in this town and we need help. So we're wanting to make sure that we don't make it so stringent that people can't get a home-based business going with children and childcare, because there is a need for it. So thank you for that. Is there any other comment from the board? If not, I'll open it up for public comment. Anyone from the public? Seeing that there is none, can I entertain a motion, please?
Madam Chair, Joe Frey for the record. Based on the information provided in the application, in the staff report, and heard tonight, I move to find that the criteria found in CCC 16.08.080H have been met, and therefore approve the special use permit SUP 26-11 to establish a home-based daycare at 6450 Zephyr Lane, Assessor's parcel number 008-133-09.
I have a first by Commissioner Frey, a second by Commissioner Hyde. All those in favor? Aye. All those opposed? It'll pass 6-0. Thank you for your time this evening. All right, G, consideration and possible action regarding special use permit application SUP 26-12 filed by Clayton Bryant and Dead Eye Dirtworks LLC. The property is located at 150 Classic Way, Assessor's parcel number 008531-71 in the C1 zoning district. The applicant proposes to operate a construction contractor and property services with heavy equipment storage. Please state your name and address for the record.
Clayton Bryant, 150 Classic Way.
Turn it over to staff, please.
Dan Collin for the record. I have before you SUP 26-12 for Dead Eye Dirtworks. The applicant is requesting to establish a construction contractor and property services use with heavy equipment storage in a general commercial district. This site will serve initially as a location to store heavy equipment, and there are future plans to establish a shop with an office. Staff would like to also mention that this is a successful transition from a home-based business to a fully fledged commercial zoned business. Staff is able to make all 5 of the required findings and therefore recommends that the commission approve the application with conditions. I'm available for any questions if you have any.
Thank you, Dan. Is there anything you'd like to add?
Yes, I have no problems meeting any timelines for the county codes to make any of this happen. I've also been in talks with some of the residents regarding some known issues prior to me moving in, and I would like to address that with the residents across the street. There's been some issues with vehicles driving. They have a well right off the road, and I guess there's been some big trucks almost taking it out. So I did speak with the homeowner. I will place big boulders there until they get a fence put up. I also have spoke with another resident regarding lighting with the codes that have to be enforced. I will work with them as well as the building department to satisfy everyone's needs. I also did buy the property from Clint Jensen, so I do now own it. So I would like to clarify that.
All right, thank you, and congratulations on graduating from your home-based business to a commercial property. I would like to open up to the board for any questions. Seeing that there is none, open it up for public comment. Oh, we do, I'm sorry.
Well, no question, just comment.
Okay.
I think this is exactly what we've been talking about for many, many years about. Some people call it incubation, others call it, whatever, growing your business. We got this set up to where you guys could get your start, got your toehold, moved along, and now you're into a commercial business, and that, I think ultimately that's what we're all sitting here for and hoping for. And so kudos to yourself and your wife. Well done.
I'd like to thank you guys for the opportunity to make that happen too.
Seeing that there's no other comments, any public comment? Seeing that there is none, I would like to entertain a motion.
Madam Chair, Vic Ansotigi for the record. Based on the information provided in the application and the staff report and heard tonight, I move to find that the criteria found in Churchill County Code 16.08.080H have been met, and therefore approve the special use permit SUP 26-12 to establish a construction contractor and property services use with heavy equipment storage for parcel 150 Classic Way, Assessor's Parcel Number 008-531-71.
I have a first by Commissioner Ansotigi, a second by Commissioner Goings. All those in favor? Aye. All those opposed? It'll pass 6-0. Thank you for your time, sir. New business H, consideration and possible action regarding a special use permit application SUP 26-10 filed by Jade Bordeaux Hernickel of Razor Power Systems LLC for Desert Queen geothermal exploration drilling. The properties are located west of US Highway 95 North Lovelock Highway on Assessor's Parcel Number 004-071-03, 004-071-04, 004-071-07, 004-071-08, 004-071-14, 004-071-15, 004-071-16, 004-071-17, 004-071-18, 004-071-37, 004-071-38, 004-071-39, 004-051-13, and 004-051-37 in the RR20 zoning district. The applicant proposes to conduct geothermal exploration drilling and a well pad construction. Can you please state your name and address for the record?
Jade Bordeaux Hernickel and 50 West Liberty Street, Reno, Nevada 89501.
Okay, Cesar Vivas, 50W Liberty Street, Suite 900, Reno, Nevada.
Thank you. I'll turn it over to staff.
Karina Nolasco, for the record, there is someone online.
Yeah, we should have our Senior Vice President, Daniel Mingus, as well online. Thank you.
Good evening. If you can hear me, I can also state my address if you like.
Please.
All right. My name is Daniel Mingus. I'm the Senior Vice President of Resource and Engineering for Circ Energy and Razor Power Systems. My address is also 50 West Liberty Street, Reno, Nevada 89501.
Thank you, sir, for joining us. Staff?
Thank you, Karina. Dan Collins for the record, Churchill County Planning. I have before you application SUP 26-10. The applicant is requesting to construct 4 well pads to conduct geothermal exploration in an RR20 district. This is phase 1 of a potential geothermal power generation project. Staff is able to make all 5 of the required findings with the conditions of approval attached, and therefore recommend that the commission approve this application with conditions. I'm available for any questions if you have any.
Thank you. I'll open up to the board for discussion.
Madam Chairman, is there a chance we could get there we go. That's what I was hoping for. Thank you.
Madam Chair, I wasn't sure if they had anything to add to that, so.
Did you guys have a presentation or anything you'd like to add?
We do not have a presentation, so not
Okay.
to add.
Jeff Goings for the record. So kind of looking at this, where is the current geothermal plant located in relation to where you are right now? That would be, is that an ORMAT? I think that's an ORMAT, yeah.
Correct, yeah. So Ormat has 2 plants just to the west. So if you kind of see that gray road traveling through BNSF Section 13,
Okay.
you could take that road all the way to the west. You'd run into Desert Peak and
Right.
then the Brady's plant. Desert Peak is about 10-ish, 8 to 10 miles away
Okay.
from our site.
Okay.
Yep.
Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, I'm sorry, just to follow up on that, I've worked with a lot of the geothermal plants, and I was told that there is quite a hot spot that runs along that area right in there, and I am assuming that's what we're shooting at here then.
Yep, yeah, you're correct. So in about 2008, 2009, a previous company went out here and they drilled some shallower temperature gradient wells. One of them was in Section 17, and they encountered a really hot, shallow geothermal gradient. So one of our proposed wells to appraise this resource is essentially like a twin. We call it a twin. It's pretty much right next to that previous TG well to target that resource there.
Madam Chair, Mark Hyde for the record. Could you just explain to us what the seismic monitoring system looks like?
Good question. So typically for conventional hydrothermal systems, there is not usually a seismic monitoring plan in place. That's something that stems from EGS, so Enhanced Geothermal Systems, and seismic monitoring is typically required or implemented during an EGS drilling program, because EGS is slightly different than what we're doing. We are just drilling conventional wells, so these will be straight vertical wells. In EGS wells, they are horizontal wells, similar to oil and gas, and they go in and they frack the wells to increase the fracture density and essentially open up the pore space in the underground aquifer area that they are specifically targeting. So typically you don't see a conventional resource implementing induced seismicity programs.
So I just wanted clarification on that. That's an operational condition on this application. And you're saying that with the work that you're proposing, that would be an anomaly to have such a seismic monitoring system to be required. Is that what you're telling me?
Yeah, and that's why we didn't have anything initially in place when we submitted our SUP, is just because this isn't something that's super standard, especially in just an appraisal program where we're just going out to essentially just test the resource and see if there is a conventional economic resource here. So it's potentially something that could be implemented later, especially if we were going to do EGS, but our company, we drill conventional wells, so that's kind of what we do, so, yeah.
So Dennis Mills, for the record, to follow up, Commissioner Hyde, I didn't see that in the very big packet that came with this, but is there a requirement for an EGS seismic monitoring system in this? Dan, sorry, go ahead.
Dan Kalon, for the record, yes, there is a requirement. It comes from the master plan policy, I think health hazards or hazards. HH4 require adequate monitoring of geothermal activities to assess impact on seismic activities.
Okay.
So it is written into the master plan, and therefore it is part of the compliance with the master plan. Whether or not this is something that should continue in the master plan, we can revisit at a later date.
Thank you.
Madam Chair, Jeff Goings for the record. So, are there seismic, are these seismic monitoring stations, are they currently in place on all of our current geothermal plants in Churchill County that are operational?
I can't answer that right now. This would be similar to, this is a requirement we put on the geothermal FERVO. They're doing their exploration. Again, they're doing the different, they're doing the horizontal drilling. Again, I don't know if others are doing it. Can't answer that, but I can look into that for you.
And I'm just trying to remember, when was, our master plan was last updated in 18, is that correct? Okay.
Correct. And we're
So
in the-
maybe some of these other plants, okay. And then finally, with reference to that, was a FERVO that we were talking about? They look like they're gonna have to import their water. My question to you is there water available there? Or is that something else you're gonna have to do, import? Excuse me.
Yeah, okay, good question. There is water available there. We had a hydrologic study done, I think it was a few, 2 to 4 years ago, in this basin. And from those findings, there were 2 shallow groundwater wells kind of more closely in our direct vicinity. We are planning on tapping into that shallow groundwater. So our plan is to drill a shallow water well that we are going to use for all the dust mitigation, for all the geothermal drilling. And we have water rights as well. And so we are planning on drilling a water well in that private section 17 to use for all this surface. Do you have anything? Okay.
Dennis Mills, for the record, let me touch back on the seismic question, just out of curiosity. How big of a burden is that to the cost of your project? Is this $10 million or is this $500, right?
I think I can help with that question, if that's okay.
Yeah, please.
So we have a couple of options when it comes to seismic monitoring, and it really depends on the level of scrutiny we want to apply to the project. So there is a network of seismometers that already exists in the West that can measure and locate earthquakes above a certain magnitude. I think that magnitude is 1 or 1.5. So we can set up a program that would allow us to essentially monitor at that level. If we want to monitor something smaller, what people call microseismic, we would need to install something locally. That would mean essentially a small solar powered or battery operated at night, solar during the day, seismometer or geophone, which would be, I would estimate in the low hundreds of thousands of dollars to install and monitor that specific instrument.
Okay, thank you. A question, I guess, back to staff then. Imagine it, from what you read out in the master plan, Dan, we haven't defined exactly how that's going to be, but it's got to be to our satisfaction, basically. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Yeah, thank you. Okay.
Jeff Goings for the record again. Sir, I'm sorry, I don't know his. Daniel. So my understanding is that depending on how low we've got to read the seismic activity would depend on the cost that you're going to be expending here to put in either a monitoring system, or you can actually have it monitored through an existing system that you would then just maybe pay a subscription fee or something like that too, or whatever. I mean, I don't know how that works, so I'm just out there.
Yeah, that's correct, and I'd be happy for Jade to help me here because she's fresh on these things too. There is essentially an existing network of seismometers, and the USGS is part of the steward of that network, and that data is readily available. And so essentially what we would be doing is we would be setting up a program that monitors that data for events that would be occurring in this parcel that we're developing. So we would be high grading that information so that we could see, what do those seismometers already see? If we want to see beyond what those are able to detect, we would need to install our own instrument.
Any other comments or questions from the board? Seeing that there is none, is there any public comment? Can I entertain a motion?
Madam Chair, Joe Frey for the record. I volunteer as tribute to read all these parcel numbers again. Anyway, based on the information provided in the application, in the staff report and heard tonight, I move to find that the criteria found in CCC 16.08.080H have been met and therefore approve the special use permit SUP 26-10 to conduct geothermal exploration and well pad construction at assessor parcel number 004-071-03 and 004-071-04, 004-071-07, 004-071-08. Can I just skip some of these and say with the last final digits going through?
Since
No,
it was
they
stated in the initial, yes.
Yeah, let's just do that. As stated in the initial application, that's it. Thank you.
I think Hyde beat you on that one. All right, we have a motion by Commissioner Frey, seconded by Commissioner Hyde. All those in favor? Aye. All those opposed? It'll pass 6-0. Thank you for your time this evening. Thank you for your patience. Item number 9, consideration and possible action regarding a joint workshop July 28th, 2026 at 6:30 PM. Please enlighten us on the details.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Randy Hines, Public Works Planning and Building. Again, you know, we've been tasked by management to, you know, to clean up our code. We've been asked to do 1 a quarter code change. I think we're gonna probably have more like 2 a year. There's some items that we wanted to talk about. We want to discuss with you, and again, this will be a joint workshop, and I just did want to note, if we don't have a quorum from the board, then we'll move this meeting to August, because again, we need the Board of County Commissioners there, because we want their input as well, because it does get approved by them. So just keep that in mind. I'll meet with the county. I know one's gone that day, but I just want to make sure we have 2 of the 3 there. So with that being said, we're going to be discussing landscape screening and Connex box requirements within the county. Again, this is, as you guys know, causes us headaches because, you know, we require people out in the middle of the desert to have trees or landscape or whatever. So that's going to be one of the discussion items. We're also going to discuss accessory structures versus structures, and more specifically setbacks regarding those. We want to talk about zoning along Highway 50 and a plan for that. You know, I think currently we have quite a few lots out there that are residential, but they're zoned commercial, right? So we kind of want to clean that up, right? I think back in the day, they did a 500-foot swath down that highway and made it commercial. Again, doesn't quite fit. Commercial parcels essentially have stricter requirements for roads and driveways that residential parcels don't. So we want to kind of clean that up a little bit. We're going to definitely get into some definitions. Minor code changes, again, trying to go through and just clean things up, have more clarity in there. And then finally, we are going to discuss TUPs and how we want to tackle those. You know, again, we have 4 categories for TUPs. We need to kind of figure out how we want to handle those. Some of those, you know, the farm laborers tend to be 20-some years, 30 years. Again, that's not a temporary use. I think that's there's a different permit or application that goes along with that. And we really need to tie these temporary use permits to be something that's temporary and define what temporary is. Is that 6 months? Is it a year? Or is it we just continue as we have it written today? So those are kind of the topics that we're going to be tackling. Again, we do want to have a quorum with the board there as well. So this may end up be moving to August if we don't have a quorum with the board. And with that, I can answer any questions.
Any questions from the board?
So that date was July.
At 6:30, Mark.
at 6:30. Yes.
All right. Any other questions? Moving on. Consider future agenda items. Is there any consideration for future agenda items from the board? Seeing that there is none, we have 11 commissioner reports and updates. If I can request, is there an update on the status of the posting for the job for the 7th planning?
Yes. Randy Hines again for the record. We had it posted on our website for the last 3 weeks. It was supposed to close on Friday. Unfortunately, with some miscommunication with the paper, it didn't get put into the paper. So it actually gets posted to the paper this Friday for 3 weeks, and then I think July 9th or whatever is when we'll close that. And then again, we'll schedule interviews with the people that we want to have interviews with. So early July.
Perfect. So on those updates, it will be either with myself, the chair, you as the director, and then whoever will be the fill-in for county?
Correct.
Perfect. Thank you. 12. Seeing that there is none, this meeting is adjourned. 8 p.m.